This video is sponsored by GX.games, a platform for gamers and game developers allowing you to instantly play games within your browser window. Every 2 weeks, GX.games will also announce exclusives available for free on their platform for a period of 3 months. Windmills is one of the games available on GX.games, a Souls-like Metroidvania with a playable demo currently released. It will be a free exclusive on the platform from October to December this year. The gameplay of Windmills emphasizes parrying in its combat system and encourages aggressive playstyles through its suppression mechanic. But what's cool about the game is its unreliable narrator, meaning the game will change depending on your actions, something you can sometimes use to your benefit. The only thing you need to do to play is to download the Opera GX browser and visit GX.games. Now, let's get on to the video. Hey everyone, how's it going? God Gamer here. So I wanted to make a follow-up video to my God Gamer's Path of Pain world record history, and the reason why is because after the God Gamer's videos that I've made in the past, a lot of people were inspired to try those challenges out by themselves. So for example, with Any Radiance, a lot of people were trying to clear the boss for the first time, a lot of people were finding new strategies, and a lot of people were pushing it even further, trying to do hitless runs and eventually succeeding at doing Radiant clears, even without Carefree Melody, as we saw with Dark Chaos Legends, and just some absolutely insane stuff ended up happening as a result. So what is happening with Path of Pain now that we're a few months out after the release of the video? Now, here we have the Path of Pain speedrun.com leaderboards, where we can see all the top speedruns. Now, it really hasn't changed all that much. Eho still has the same world record as before. The only run that's really been updated recently from a top Path of Pain speedrunner is Kolaski updated his time and got a 2-minute and 5-second run, which is super cool to see, but it doesn't seem like he's really grinding for world record, at least not right now. So what's going on with the category? Did Eho just kill the category with the sub 2-minute and 2-second time? The answer to that is actually no, because there is another player who's not even on the leaderboard right now, and needless to say, he's grinding for world record. So I just wanted to highlight this player because he's been doing quite a few attempts and has set the bar quite a lot higher than it used to be, despite not even having completed a run with the strats that he's using. So this player's name is AlejsXY, and he's pretty new to Path of Pain speedrunning. As far as I know, he started this year, and he started doing other speedruns as well and getting a lot of best times in a lot of different splits, and it's just super cool to see. So let's get into this run, and I'm going to try to point out some different things that he does that makes his speedrun just so much faster. First off, you can see on his live split, he's comparing against the world record time, the 2-minute 1.90 second run by Eho. So that should probably tell you something right off the bat. And I'm just gonna go through this run. I'm gonna kind of explain how his run's a little bit different from others. Obviously, there's just kind of the execution element because his execution is extremely high level, even compared to other players. And let's just get right into this. So there is one strat here that he uses where he pogos off this saw blade as far left as possible. I'm gonna try to go back a little bit so I can show you in slow motion. So he does it from very far to the left. That's like a max range pogo. And you can just get up here without having to touch this wall at all. Pretty hard to execute, but that's a strat that he's implemented that he found from the TAS. So super cool to see that new strat being used. Apparently it was first used by a user named Timicon. So just shout outs to them for that. You can see like the TAS cycle to get past this saw blade. He had so much room to do that dash. Like the saw blade wasn't even close to him when the dash ended. That's just how much faster that strat is to use the saw blade pogo. I'll try to keep the mouse out of the way. But that room, 25.84, I think I saw, which is insanely fast. I think the world record's 26.32. Yeah, the world record run is 26.32 by Eho. So that's 0.5 seconds in the first room alone. Pretty wild. Okay, so now we're getting into room 2, and you can see right off the bat, as soon as he enters room 2, he does the slight walk along the ground. And the purpose of that little walk is to get closer to the wall so you don't have to perform that double jump up to here. Just not double jumping saves time because you want to be doing wall jumps so you don't have that slight dip before the double jump activates. And this is such a small optimization, but the reason why this is so interesting to me is because the first and last time I saw anyone do this was with AlejsXY's run in 2019. It's just super interesting to me that he found those optimizations, and then there was a period where no one used them at all, and then those optimizations are being brought back later on. So it really just goes to show how far ahead of his time AlejsXY was with his movement, especially back in 2019. But anyway, that's just like a small frame saving optimization, but it's just really interesting to me how those little optimizations find their way back into the run. And this is mostly like pretty standard movement, but it's just, you know, obviously he's executing it pretty much perfectly. These are the strats that you saw like towards the end of the video that I was highlighting. And it's just an extremely well executed room 2. So Alex's best split here for room 2 is 31.92 seconds. Compare that to Eho's world record time of 32.2 seconds. That's another potential 0.3 second time save. And we're gonna get into room 3. This is definitely the most interesting room of all because he implements a different version of Thorn Skip, which is skipping it entirely. This is something I didn't get into in the God Gamers video because no one ever really tried this skip. Everyone knew about it when Eho and Shy were going back and forth. This actually does save a huge amount of time, but the thing is that the trick itself is ridiculously hard. So the movement he did to get to this point was basically perfect, and he's still just barely high enough to be able to pull off the jump at this point. And even after this, the cycle afterward is really, really difficult to pull off. So it's not like just getting the trick means, okay, you're going to get through the rest of the run. The rest of this room is still ridiculously tough to do quickly. But yeah, let's just look at this in slow motion for a second, just so you can kind of get an idea. You pogo the saw blade as it's coming up, and then you do a double jump, and you pogo at absolute max distance as the saw blade's at the very peak of its path. Then you got a double jump, and you can just barely make it to do the wall jump. But let's still look at the rest of the room so you can see how ridiculously hard it is to pull off the rest of the cycle. So let's just look at this cycle. At this point, it's pretty standard, but the thing is, once you get up here, this saw blade is rushing to get in your way. So you really have to be as fast as possible to get past this saw blade by pogoing the wing mold and instantly dashing off of it. You can see he just barely makes the cycle, and then after that you have to double jump, pogo this wing mold, and get past this saw blade as well. Then you do the task room 3 section, which is pogoing off this saw blade above you. And being able to perform this quickly is just ridiculously hard. Like, look at how smooth and clean that is. The saw blade is basically above him, and he just pogos it without any hesitation, and that's exactly how you have to do it optimally. So Alex actually informed me that the strat that he uses at this point is actually not the optimal strat. So there's a strat called the Blossom strat, where you actually pogo off this saw blade, double jump, and then you land on this ground. Then you jump up to the platform, wall jump, and double jump up to the transition. What most players do here is they pogo here, double jump, wall jump off this wall right here, double jump to the platform and then jump into the transition, but it is slightly faster to use the Blossom strat. In other words, landing here, jumping, wall jumping, and then double jumping up to the transition. So for the record, this is an 1815 approximately. It's kind of blurred a little bit, so I'm not completely sure, but this is an insane time for room 3. Eho's world record is a 19.4 second room 3. So this saves about 1.3 seconds in a single room. So to summarize, we have already over 2 seconds of potential time save on Eho's world record, and that's just in the first 3 rooms. So as for room 4, I don't think Alex does anything too crazy or out of the ordinary. It's just extremely well executed. Alex has the best splits for the first 3 rooms out of anyone in the community. For room 4, Shy still has the edge by about a frame or 2, I believe. But we can still just watch this room 4, and I can kind of try to point some things out. However, for the most part, it's just kind of the updated cycle that people started doing a bit more recently. One thing I do want to point out is that because this movement is so optimized, you can see when he gets to this point, this saw blade isn't far enough to the right for him to pogo off of. So instead of doing that, what he does is he does the pogo on the saw blade above him. And I think this is standard. If you get incredibly clean movement, you opt to do this instead. But I just wanted to point that out because it's just another one of those crazy pogos that people do. And it's just, from here on, it's just the cycle, you pogo over here, and then you descending darkest left as possible, which is very far left. You can see he's basically inside of the spikes. So that's some extremely optimized positioning. And it's just the standard quick kill at the end there, but basically perfect execution. Now that's a 43.66 room 4. How does that compare to Eho's time? So once again, we have about 0.3 seconds of time save. So we're well over potential 2 seconds of time save on the Path of Pain world record. That means that if Alex actually manages to finish one of these runs, which he hasn't done yet, he literally hasn't finished a run with his strats, then he could get the sub 2-minute time, beating the Path of Pain world record by 2 seconds. That would be absolutely insane at this point, especially given that Path of Pain is arguably the most difficult and technically demanding speedrun out of all of them. So, from what Alex has told me, he's done over 15,000 attempts at Path of Pain, still hasn't managed to complete a run yet, and obviously if you're doing that many runs of something so incredibly difficult and reset heavy, I mean, 100% of runs reset, that's a shitload of resets. Well, you're probably gonna start moving on to something new, and in fact, that's what Alex has done. He's been doing any percent, he's been doing 112%, and he's been picking up a ton of community sum of best times. And I just wanted to give him a huge shout out because he's got 24 subscribers and he's putting out some of the coolest speedrunning content out there. So these are some of the best splits ever done by a player. It looks like most of these videos are for current patch any percent, which is a really popular category in Hollow Knight. So it's super impressive that someone who's been speedrunning for less than a year is getting some of these ComSob splits. Now, to my understanding, current patch any percent split times aren't quite as optimized as the regular any percent NMG split times, but still it's just super impressive regardless. I've seen, like, for example, his Watcher Knights are just ridiculously fast, much faster than I'm able to pull off, and I've practiced that fight for probably close to 100 hours. So yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to Alex and the things he's been doing with Path of Pain, really showing that the run can be taken down to the sub 2-minute time if you're dedicated enough to pull off the run. And it seems like he is, but he is taking a little break from Path of Pain right now. understandably, after losing that many runs. But if Alex manages to pull off the sub 2 minute Path of Pain time, it's going to be one of the most impressive Hollow Knight speedruns ever done, so I'm super excited to see if he can pull it off. Or maybe, now that he's proven it's possible, someone else could beat him to the punch. I'm really interested to see what happens. Hope you found this video interesting and that you have a wonderful day. Peace.